Caution, disposal of remains should be handled with extreme care. Though subject can no longer trigger a detonation, skeletal remains still retain risk of volatility. Handle with care, as with previous such cases.
All right, game. If you can beg me to open this guy up and steal his bones, I'll do it. You don't gotta twist my arm about it.
Huh. I guess I should have turned these over to the evidence locker.
Oh, hey.
Nice.
We have Kill's hand.
Why would you store that in your drawer? Adventure game protagonist, man.
Okay, modules in the garden.
Excellent. I'm sending you an address. It's a dump of a studio apartment out in the barrel. The occupant is on vacation. I want you to destroy it.
Excuse me?
Procure an explosive device, plant it within his apartment.
Bomb bones.
You make a slice along his thigh and pull his femur loose.
Just like that, huh?
You cover the bone in the hot thermal gel. It begins to sizzle and crack as the compounds within prepare for a chain reaction. Uh-oh.
There she is.
Got it.
Wait. Baxter.
Sure enough, the tracker shows the call's location, the office of the now paroled Dr. Adam Baxter.
How? How is this possible? Traveler, begin recording. Lau, if you're listening to this, well, it means they've caught me. It wouldn't be right if I couldn't explain things to you, though. I've been blackmailed, with the lives of my kids. I traced the calls the blackmailer made. There's only one man who would have done this. And yet, thanks to the neural governor, he's also the only one who never could have. I've got to see that justice is done. Good luck, Max.
Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to Technobabylon. I am joined, as always, by the intrepid David.
I'm here, and I'm excited that we actually get to play as Lau. Like, look at this. We get to max it up around here.
This is wonderful. Yeah, this is in theory our third character. I believe that we play as the three of them throughout the game, so finally getting to see things from her perspective, which is nice.
I'm excited to completely destroy Charles as Lau.
Do you think that we're going to do it with an exploding bone? Because I hope so.
We can only hope so, yeah.
I kind of hope that the body that's in there is just like a continual resource for bone bombs for us.
Now, you know, there are only a finite number of bones in the body, so we are on a timer to finish the game appropriately.
I wonder if bigger bones cause bigger explosions.
More surface area, bigger circumference of the explosion makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, we are here now as Lau. Charlie went off, and it sounds like he killed Dr. Baxter, his old nemesis, or something. Maybe I guess we'll find out, but maybe he was framed for it. He walked off with a gun, and he intended to kill Baxter, and we've been told as Lau that he did. So.
Also, when we finished up last time, you had an interesting theory. Do you want to share that theory now, or you just want me to scream, "You called it," when we get there?
I will share my theory now. I believe that Latha may be Dr. Regis and Viksha's daughter. The timeline seems to work out. Viksha died about 20 years ago. Latha seems to be about 20 years old. Dr. Regis mentioned that her name sounds Sri Lankan and his wife was Sri Lankan. And also, if there were 4 4 petri dishes and Baxter allegedly broke one, I wonder if David's theory of just grabbing some random ass petri dishes and breaking one, might have been a bluff on his part, and that 4th petri dish is actually Latha. I mean, that could just be circumstantial, but the point is, I believe her to be Charlie's daughter.
It would make a lot of sense. The lore seems to be leading up there, and I also think that it's suitably ironic that Charles is kind of become a Luddite, but his theoretical daughter is completely obsessed with the net.
Oh my God! Is that going to be Charlie's arc, learning to accept technology through his daughter's eyes?
I mean, it would maybe just be coming full circle because Charles started out inventing this technology that was pivotal for all this to happen.
She can teach him a thing or two about getting into the net, but he can teach her a thing or two about living in the real world.
Charles, you need to accept all cookies into your heart.
Well, let's go on a journey through meat space to see if we can find our pal, Charlie.
She's expensive. I wonder if I can persuade Regis to let us keep her. Got to wait till the AI lab have had their turn analyzing her. Then she's all mine.
Dr. Lau is very excited about this synth. I just don't know how I feel about synths being used.
Especially coming from a Star Trek fan background, it makes it a little unpleasant depending on how sentient you want to assume they are.
I mean, Data was equipped for all functions, so maybe it's not that far out. Maybe I should just stop being so adverse to synth sexual relations and just accept them. While you know full well that you could accomplish all of the work you need to in a trance suite in your head, Cell insists that most official business be carried out on its terminals and travelers for security. Regis seems to think it's just to make it easier for Central to spy on everything you do. Okay, let's check our emails here. Galatea Vargas. We spoke with her at the end of last week's episode. Subject case file. Dr. Lau, as authorized by City Systems Administrator Dr. Eduardo Vargas, please find access to the investigation's case files enclosed. If you wish to discuss the case in person with the administrator, please make an appointment beforehand. This is from Dr. Charlie Regis. Subject, no subject. Body, Max Lau.
He really is a Facebook boomer.
I'm sure that there's something more significant here, but I love to think that it's just Charlie not understanding how email works. It's like an old coworker of mine. Every time that she would send an email, she would put her name in the subject field because she was the subject of the email. This one's from Central, subject mindjackings. Dr. Lau, thank you for the summary of the so-called mindjacking investigations. It is evident that some of Dr. Regis's talent in investigation has found its way into your work, but please be aware that you need not also emulate his less helpful behavioral patterns. And finally from Edward Lau, please come home. Max, it doesn't matter what Mom said. I don't really understand why you did it either, but I'm not going to judge you. I miss you, and they won't admit it, but Mom and Dad do too. Please come home, Max. That city, that life, it'll change you. Eddie, XXX.
Ow! Hey, what was that?
Oh, well, we got the case file, and apparently it shocked us as well.
It's in your brain. Also, considering how far in the future we are,
I'd better not.
Oops.
Charlie should know what email is, how it functions. It is ancient technology at this point.
It's true.
I'd better not.
What does this button do? Is this a reply button?
I'd better not. I'd better.
No, whatever it is, she better not.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have two case files here now. The first one, Centralized Emergency Logistics, case file RE-8473/A. Category, Class 4 Information Larceny with composite harm to health of individual targets, i.e. mine-jacking. Case officers assigned, Regis, Dr. C, primary. Lau, Dr. M, secondary. Outline, beginning in March 2087, a string of data theft attacks have been carried out within Newton. Using a process of resonant modulation with subjects' neural wetware, that's remarkably hard to say, the informational contents of individual victims' brain is being destructively removed with fatal consequences to targets. Victims to date, 18 in Newton and unknown globally. Identity of perpetrator, not known. Subject appears exceptionally skilled at infiltration and may have inside help from larger sponsor. Action, case specialists Regis and Lau are assigned to compile all available data on Mindjacker's activity, including investigation of latest targets, for analysis by Central. Centralized Emergency Logistics, case file NF-518/2087/97. Category, homicide, breaking and entering, abuse of public office. Case officers assigned, Lau, Dr. M, primary. Outline, on 11 July 2087, Dr. Adam Baxter, PN 629384, was found dead by coworkers at the Vickerman Tatsumoto Telepresence Laboratory in the Northeast Network. Cell has been contacted and Case Officer Lau M activated for investigation. Victims to date, Baxter, Dr. Adam, former organic computing researcher for City of Newton, recently paroled from rehabilitation sentence. Suspects, Regis, Dr. C, cell agent, spouse of Viksha Regis, victim of murder by Dr. Baxter, was detected entering laboratories on 10 July 2087 and leaving 128 minutes later. Action, suspect Charles Regis has been unreachable and has historically demonstrated a high anti-civil behavior index. With such a strong motive, his apprehension for questioning is a priority. Lau M assigned to investigate crime scene, Vickerman Pharmaceuticals. Okay.
I guess we're gonna get codes for the cameras, maybe.
No
Did you
answer.
do it? Also, important question. Do you think Lau is going to keep Sheffy on the maid?
That is an important question.
When it comes to sim sex, do you want Sheffy, or yes or no?
I mean, I guess you could make a case for it. Let's try calling Central.
Dr. Lau, please continue your investigation of the murder of Dr. Baxter. Your involvement has been requested by the highest levels of civil government. Please find data relevant to the case on your secure system at cell headquarters.
Please get back to work.
I have a lot of fun picturing Central as Gladys. Wow, control escape. It's never too late. Sports update, Kabaddi Newton, 55-37, UAE, and the match is still in progress.
How long is this match?
Chashiki says, a day and night for staying indoors. Nothing's changed with the weather. And, a gray goo incident injures 4. We'll see how desperate we get if we need to read that or not.
Are you familiar with, like, with gray goo? I feel like you've probably enjoyed enough sci-fi to be familiar.
I thought that was another name for wetware. Is there something else that I'm missing?
They may have done that, but like gray goo is specifically like a fear about nanomachines basically self-replicating themselves until the entire world is just deconstructed into gray goo, because the nanomachines are just replicating themselves forever without any rationality.
I was not aware of that, no.
Yeah, so if that's something that's happening over there, just basically nanomachines are going haywire, and that's a huge problem.
Interesting. It's rare to see Regis working at his desk on a normal night. To him, it feels like he's not getting anything done if he's not out on patrol.
Sorry, Regis.
I was hoping the hand would be back in there.
Me too. But we do have a photograph.
A physical photograph. The team. February 2067.
Nina, Adam, Eduardo, Gwen, Vicky, Charlie.
Adam's all scratched out.
Regis is probably the only person I know who'd want his picture on paper. I guess defacing a digital one just isn't the same.
As if hinting to you, Central has swapped out the data on the Mindjacker case for information on the Baxter murder.
Our boss computer is so passive-aggressive.
Going back to the whole, email being ancient history to Charlie, looking at this photograph, okay, so Charlie is probably what, born in 2030 maybe? 2030?
Yeah, he will be conceived within the next decade.
So I feel like him being this old-fashioned would be like somebody of our age in our 30s being like, oh no, I only listen to music on 8 tracks.
Yeah, something of that nature.
I mean, I get what they're going for, but
Charles was a hipster all along.
Yeah, it's a little anachronistic, that's all.
But it is more relatable for us.
It is. Regis keeps covering the camera with tape. You're not sure if he's aware that the terminals and the desks have two-way cameras as well. Well, oops. Okay, doesn't look like there's anything else that we can really do here. We can't access our own desk, so let's head out into the world. Oh, we don't even get the option of wandering around cell. We can simply go to Fulcrum Tower or the crime scene or back to headquarters. Fulcrum Tower is where the garden is, correct?
I forget. We might as well check it out. We can piss off Central by continuing to procrastinate.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
It's our boss!
Wow. So good to see you again, my dear.
Have you made any progress on the
Dr.
case?
Vargas, I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Certainly, my dear. Anything I can do to help.
What would you describe your role here as, Dr. Vargas?
This is publicly available information, Dr. Lau.
Now, Galatea, it is a reasonable question. For the past 18 years, I've held the role of controller of centralized government. I ensure that Central, our city governance CI, is functioning within parameters.
What would you say your political function within the city is?
None at all. The elected council formulates city policy. It is merely Central's role to execute this and ensure the day-to-day well-being of the city.
And it is Dr. Vargas's role to maintain Central's operations.
Mm.
Surely you're already aware of this, Dr. Lau.
Just wanted to get it from the source.
Sometimes our desire to remain outside the political spectrum has led to rumors. We are not, however, the secret puppet masters behind the government of Newton.
I shouldn't count you as my boss, then.
Dr. Lau.
Heavens no, my dear. If anything, we are equals on an administrative footing. Central acts as director for both of our operations, though.
You know, Galatea kinda looks like Latha. I don't know if it's just because of similarities in the artist's style, but it's just something that I'm noting.
Considering that Vargas was on the same team as Charles, I think that there might have been a love triangle going on. And I still think that Galatea is a synth, and I think that she was just about to call him father.
She was, yeah.
How long have you known Dr. Regis?
Since 2067, he joined a research project of mine. He was a good man then, very principled.
And now?
I have no doubt goodness remains. Though since joining Cell, I feel that he expresses this solely through his work.
Do you know about his garden on Tier 42 of this building?
Ah, yes. I've been there myself a couple of times. Though I hope we can keep that between us, Dr. Lau.
What did you think of it?
It is certainly an interesting way of coping with grief. Though that it has lasted so long is perhaps cause for concern.
My way of coping with her death is much more interactive.
2067 also being when, I think when Viksha was murdered. At least that's when the photograph was from. And I seem to recall the photograph being from around the same time period as her murder.
Right.
What can you tell me about this incident?
Currently not a great deal, hence why you have been tasked with this investigation. Dr. Baxter has been found murdered in his workplace, and Dr. Regis was caught entering and leaving the facility by their security infrastructure.
How about a background to the case? A history?
Baxter has been responsible for the murder of Viksha Regis.
Charles Regis's wife.
He was caught and convicted, and until recently had been serving a sentence for the crime.
I'm aware of this so far, yes.
He had recently been paroled with the Vickerman Corporation as his sponsor. I can only imagine Regis's feelings on the matter.
Violent, no doubt.
But I knew Charlie Regis, and I know what kind of man he was. Justice is his motivator, but with his background out in the hot zones.
You worry that this might have been his idea of justice?
Precisely. That, my dear, is why I need you to investigate this case before Central jumps to any conclusions to the matter.
I know what kind of man Charles is. He gets results.
You mentioned Regis's wife, Viksha.
Ah, yes, Vicky. She was a student of mine in the 50s in Buenos Aires. She spent several years working for the UN in hot zones around the world. When she had finished, she was the natural choice for the project I was just commencing.
He never really spoke about her.
They were very much in love. It pains me greatly to see a man so afflicted by a loss.
She was a engineer as well?
Yes and no. She specialized in organic computing, a field perhaps more closely aligned to your own.
Though Regis has an obvious motive, can you think of anyone else who might have a reason to do this?
I shall be honest. Dr. Baxter was not an easy man to work with. There were many who disliked him in his time, though none I knew could call him his enemy.
You mentioned a project that Viksha was recruited for.
I'm afraid that's classified.
Galatea, how can we help if we block every question? It was a project that utilized the expertise of both Viksha and Charles. Essentially, we were studying organic interfacing and large-scale computing.
Large scale, as in city coordination intelligences, like Central?
On this matter, I can answer no further.
What was your opinion of Dr. Baxter?
As a scientist 20 years ago, he was peerless in his field.
But as a human being?
He did not take refusal well. This apparently is what led to his breakdown.
And the murder that followed that.
Precisely. I have not spoken to him personally since the trial, however. I'm afraid I couldn't enlighten you about his recent state of mind.
Dr. Vargas, I really need to ask. In my office, why did you cut Central's feed?
That's classified, Dr. Lau.
I'm afraid I cannot give you a complete answer on that subject. But a number of factors regarding yesterday's network attack have raised concerns. Not least the timing. It may be that Central's administration has been compromised.
You believe it's linked to Baxter's murder?
What makes you say that?
You cut the camera when talking to me about it. You were concerned that whoever may have compromised Central would find out what we were discussing.
Ha! Well, I have no fear of the quality of Cell's investigative staff now.
I learned from the best.
That is an interesting question.
It's a fantastic view from up here.
Isn't it? That's why I choose to work from up here.
The only part higher in Fulcrum Tower is Central's operating center.
You could probably see all the way to Mombasa on a clear day. I'm certainly aware of your role in the city, Dr. Vargas. But who is your lovely assistant?
Of course, you haven't been properly introduced. This is my daughter, Galatea. She fills the role of my administrative support.
I'm being groomed for succession, apparently.
Oh, don't put it like that. You make it sound so dynastic. That certainly is not what we wish to represent.
What was your field before going into politics?
I was a computer scientist and a lecturer at Buenos Aires. In the 60s, the government of Newton was looking for research administrators. It eventually transpired that this role in itself was a kind of test.
The City Council was looking for suitable individuals to manage Newton's new CI. Central?
Yes and no. It was what eventually became Central.
Dr. Vargas, have you heard of mind jacking?
Excuse me?
I'm afraid I have not, Dr. Lau. What is it?
It's the case Regis and I were working on lately. A number of individuals had their brains flash wiped by a destructive copying technique.
That sounds most appalling, Dr. Lau. Does it pertain to this case?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. It might give someone a reason to frame Regis, though. Especially if they thought that we were getting too close.
So, perhaps Regis is a victim of the attempted character assassination. To use Baxter as a means of doing so would be drastic.
Why don't you believe that Dr. Regis is responsible for Baxter's death?
I cannot say for certain that he is not, Dr. Lau. I simply hold on to the hope that he is not.
Thank you, Dr. Vargas. You've been most helpful.
Anything I can do to help.
You should have made an appointment.
Dr. Vargas' young assistant watches you keenly as though she thought you might break something if unsupervised.
I never thought the controller of centralized government would look so human.
I feel like this
Wow, what a
scene.
view. You could probably see all the way to Mombasa on a clear day.
This scene's going to be very Gabriel Knight, I think. It's like, oh, we learned one new detail. Better drive all the way over here and ask about it.
Yeah. A classically styled painting, Pygmalion by Simon Denver.
Okay, we get it. She's a synth.
How did I plan on doing that?
All right, let's check out the crime scene.
Wow, that's a lot of green. Excuse me.
Great, they finally sent someone. You here to get the body out?
Maybe. I'm Max Lau, cell case specialist.
No kidding. I'm the lab director, Dr. Zvidzai Chigwa. Make it quick, I'm busy.
What's your role here?
I'm the supervisor for the telepresence factoring labs. Most of it's automatic. I just make sure it's all running like it should.
Sounds like a big responsibility.
It's a lousy job most of the time. TP is where management sticks people they don't want in public-facing roles.
You're not happy with it?
For the last few years, my career has been one disaster after another. I'm just glad it's plateaued into some kind of stability.
Can you tell me what happened?
Baxter got killed.
In any more detail?
When we started this afternoon, a whole lot of samples had been tampered with. We tried to call Baxter to find out what the hell was going on in the specimen bank.
And he didn't answer.
He didn't. Turned out the door to the specimen bank was locked too.
You haven't seen the body?
No, not in person, if that's what you mean. We got the camera feed online, but it was obvious that Baxter wasn't going to be coming out.
When did you last see him?
Guess it could have been Wednesday?
So he could have been killed any time in the past 3 days?
I guess, but it wouldn't fit with everything else.
What's the purpose of this lab? Plant studies?
Yes and no. There's a lot of research that's not exactly legal in some countries.
But in Newton, pretty much anything goes.
Exactly. If someone in the EU needs research done on something hazardous, infectious, or endangered, they send the orders here and we carry out the testing.
What sort of research?
Mostly we make new angiosperms from scratch. That's flowering plants to you.
Gee, thanks. Why would people want new flowers?
Sometimes it's a drug delivery method. The earliest commercial examples were fruit that grew packed with insulin. A lot of new wetware begins its life as engineered fruit, too.
Must be awkward if they cross-pollinate in the wild.
And a legal headache. Part of our job is making sure the copy protection works.
Copy protection in plants? Ouch.
Yeah, you need like a whole wheel, swap pirate faces, that sort of thing.
Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to work.
I want to turn this music down a hair.
Excuse me, Dr. Chigwa?
Make it quick, I'm busy.
Aside from yourself, who else works in this laboratory?
There's my intern, Martin Meester, operates the factoring line. If you meet him, it's easy to see why they put him in here. And until recently, there was Dr. Baxter.
Tell me about Mr. Neester.
He came over from Eurofed on a study program. He's young. I guess we're all like that in our youth.
Good colleague?
He's all right. He got on board with that annoying maladist trend. He knows how to follow instructions, so I let him get on with it.
His visa still active?
Dr. Lau, we do not employ undocumented illegals in this lab.
Just have to check. I'm sure you understand. Tell me about Dr. Baxter.
Oh, he was bad enough to work with in the 60s. As part of his parole, they stuck a governor in his head. Since then, it's like talking to a badly written synthetic.
You don't care for him a great deal.
That man killed Vicky. Frankly, he deserved what he got.
But you still work with him.
He worked for me. It was another part of his parole. Vickerman's management persuaded centralized government that his skills were going to waste in prison. The company wanted him supervised by someone who knew him. Hence, they dragged my sorry ass in.
What did you have him doing?
He organized the specimen bank. It's the kind of thing we could just leave him at for hours on end. Days, sometimes. Really, it could have just been done by the facility's AI, but I had to give him something.
Otherwise, you'd have to talk to him?
Exactly.
You've got a keen mind. What's your take on this?
Hey, I'm not the detective, young lady. You know what I think? I think Regis did what they ought to have done 20 years ago.
Why do you say that?
Seems logical. We've got him coming into the labs on security, then we got him coming out an hour later. When we get here, we've got Baxter's corpse contaminating the specimen bank.
Anything else?
Well, something strange. Since we got in, we keep finding samples that have been tampered with. Looks like he spent his hour here messing up the genomes of our specimens.
That quickly?
If anyone was good enough to do it that fast, it'd be Charlie.
Listen, I'm no detective, but he did it.
Also, I like that her description of a coworker was, he's young, but we were all like that in our youth. Like, yes, self-evidently.
You knew Regis as well?
Yeah, I was on a research team with him and his wife back in the 60s. Baxter, too.
You've apparently known him a long time. Does this seem like something Regis would do?
Oh, after what he did to Vicky, I'd have strangled Baxter, too. I tell you, if he did do it, I wouldn't blame him one bit.
Do you think he did it, though?
I don't know. He was always kinda shady.
Tell me about it.
They made him do some real awful stuff out in the hot zones.
Such as?
Let's just say his escape led to a whole lot of people being jailed for war crimes.
So they keep talking about tampering with the evidence, and I'm trying to kind of reconcile some of that in my head. I'm wondering if our blackmailer wasn't Dr. Baxter. I don't know that Baxter was necessarily evil George Stobart. I feel like he might have been... So if Baxter had a governor in his head, I'm wondering if the mindjacker was taking advantage of that and maybe directing him to fuss with the specimens somehow.
We also have to keep in mind that the antagonist is called a mindjacker, and that they probably have been hopping between heads throughout the story.
Yeah.
So we don't know for a fact who's who and is responsible yet.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've seen mindjacking described plainly as, you know, wiping somebody's brain, wiping somebody's mind, but we also witnessed Giel Vanderwall basically made to hallucinate and shoot at a demon, which ended up being his partner.
It is rewriting things, creating irrational behavior. We haven't observed it to be like being puppeted exactly, but I would not be surprised if we go that direction.
Yeah.
You seem preoccupied.
That obvious, huh? We found a couple of specimens that Regis tampered with in his hour here. So I gotta run through the catalog and dig out the backups.
Sounds straightforward.
Not when there's 11,000 samples to take. Oh, I could punch Regis for this. Though, I want to shake his hand for Baxter so it kinda evens out.
What's been done to the samples?
He's used a customized viral vector to add huge amounts of junk DNA to their genomes. These are the last two I found, Medioflorens interensis and Linacia lawsonis.
May I have a look?
Do you think it'll help?
Just a hunch. Huh. Non-binary. A quaternary data string?
What do you mean?
My wetware systems are interpreting the genomes of these plants as sections of an audio file. He's used the DNA to store information.
You think so?
It's incomplete. The 2 samples only make up a third of the data. But M and L, my initials? This can't be a coincidence. He's left a message.
What does it say?
Not sure yet. I could probably construct the whole message if I can find where he's hidden the rest of it.
Safe to say it's in the other plants he's engineered. Here, take this. You can sample DNA from the plants around the lab. If you run out of sampling cartridges, you can reload it at this console.
Thanks. How long would it take to sample everything in the lab?
Oh, only a couple of years. We have over 11,000 subjects. You're better off looking for specimens that would fill the gaps in the clue he left.
Interesting.
So, how do I build more of the message?
You've got to use the sampling tool to get DNA from the plants around the lab. The sampler can take 3 readings before it needs to be reloaded. In some areas of the lab, the atmospheric controls will prevent the reading being taken.
Apparently, he wants me to find certain samples. I've got to think about where I'm going to find them.
Darn right. We've got a whole lot of A right now.
So, you worked with Regis and his wife, as well as Baxter. Did you also work for Dr. Vargas?
That pompous ass? Yeah, I worked for him.
You don't care for him?
He was a competent researcher, but he lives for politics. Everything was always about making the world a better place.
And you don't think it should be better?
It's a nice idea, just not realistic. And what we ended up making, it was... actually, never mind.
What happens in the specimen bank?
It's where the samples of plants and growth matrices are stored. There's a huge library of subjects to work with, natural and man-made.
And that's where Baxter worked?
Yeah, it's not exactly taxing. I wanted to see what he could do since they put a governor in him.
You left him to work alone in there?
I'll be honest, he was not a pleasant man to talk to.
I wonder why Regis hid a message inside the DNA of these plants.
DNA's been used as a data storage medium before. Rather than on-off binary, DNA would be quaternary bits. Adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine. If he just left a message on one of the systems, though, or even on paper...
Then someone could have destroyed or erased it. Short of burning down the entire lab, they'd have no way to be sure they destroyed a message hidden like this.
Especially since he's scrambled so many of the other samples as camouflage.
He needs to make sure it's found, and based on the layout, he wants me to find it. Have you found anything else with added genetic data?
As a matter of fact, I have. There was a batch of Orchidaceae isotria in the growth lab, and...
And?
I can't remember exactly which specimen the other was. I do remember that it had yellow flowers, spiny toxic leaves, and very, very small fruit.
Why didn't the facility's CI detect Baxter's vitals suddenly failing? It's a potentially hazardous environment in here.
We were wondering that as well. This afternoon, we noticed the monitoring system in the sample lab was in recursion. All hell broke loose when the CI suddenly realized what had happened.
So either you've got a technical fault with the software or wetware interfacing,
Which is unlikely given how much they cost.
or someone breached the security systems to cover Baxter's murder. That gives me more hope. Regis would have no idea how to do that. What sort of research were you conducting in the 60s?
You mean with Charlie and his wife? You might not believe it, but we were the people behind Central.
Central? The city governing AI Central?
The same. Newton was looking for a coordinator AI. Vargas put together a team, including the new Mr. and Mrs. Regis.
Nuke me. Regis never mentioned anything about this.
It wasn't a happy memory for him. He left after the unpleasantness. We finished the project a few months later.
Huh. Might explain why he hates Central's guts.
Okay.
Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to work.
So, the specimen she mentioned was yellow flower spiny seeds, was it?
Spiny leaves, I thought.
Okay. And there was one other clue. I think it was about the seeds.
Have you found any...
As a map, there was a batch of Orchidaceae isotria in the growth lab, and...
And?
I do remember that it had yellow flowers, spiny toxic leaves, and very, very small fruit.
Small fruit.
Is that all?
Okay.
For now.
Then if you...
One of the plant specimens the lab's working on. Can I look at individual ones? These all look the same. These are blue. These are red. There's the gene sequencer. An audio recording made out of the data that Regis hid in the lab specimen's DNA. He must be paranoid. You've always known Regis to be a lot more straightforward when he tries to tell people things. Error, audio file incomplete. Please add missing sectors to file and try
I'm going to need
again.
to find where he's hidden the rest of the message before I get any sense out of it.
I can only hope that if I'm ever framed for murder, that I'll have the sense to set up an escape room puzzle.
I've taken a DNA sample from it.
No modified
Looks like
sequences
Regis didn't
found.
hide any data in that one.
Ah, there's Dr. Neester.
He's
Hi,
young.
Whenever the teacher told you the shortest way.
My name's Dr. Max Lau. I'm a cell case specialist.
The necessary but perhaps impossible notion of the nation-state works towards the rhetoric of synesthesia.
You're not making any sense.
Wondrous all lies ahead. What with the future yet to come?
Are you alright?
Those fishermen taught them English.
Can I get your name?
Georgie promised a blow-by-blow.
Okay. What's your role at this facility?
Whenever the teacher told you the shortest way.
Uh-huh. What happened here?
Did Marge lend her a lot of money?
I see. I give up.
Did Marge lend her a lot of money?
Has he been flash wiped?
God, it sure seems that way.
Still working.
Got yellow blooms over here.
This fruit is too big. Like these flowers, like if they were blooming in the wild, they'd be pretty screwed.
Yeah,
You're not gonna be
really.
able to stand upright.
They look important.
With caviar.
Alright, I won't touch them. Oh god, what a mess. Update Central.
What is the situation, Dr. Lau?
He's dead.
Dr. Baxter is certainly dead. He's been decapitated, and not cleanly either.
His head has been removed.
More like destroyed. At a glance, this would be the most likely cause of death. Nothing unusual found on the body, Central. Estimation on time of death?
The climate control in the specimen lab is compromising your sensors. Ambient temperature is just above freezing. What is your estimation of the incident, Dr. Lau?
There's too much we can't say for sure. We don't know precisely when Baxter was murdered. We can't even be sure that this was the cause of death.
That is a fair assessment. A clearer picture will no doubt follow the autopsy.
Don't send in anyone yet. I still need to carry out a preliminary.
I understand. Continue your investigation of events surrounding the incident.
Understood. Lau out. I hope I can find something to get Regis off the hook.
So I'm assuming that we can't take a sample of the DNA here. It's not been calibrated for animal DNA recovery. If you believe this to be incorrect, please consult your lab manager. Okay.
Looks like it's controlling the sorting drones on the racks. It's a drone that runs back and forth on rails. Must be what they use to store and retrieve samples in here.
Wonder if we can get the astral body here. Interesting. So are these seeds that are stored here? What was the...
She gave us another, like, formal name for one of them, and I did not note it down.
It started with an O, and I don't see it here.
It's a drone that must be what they use. It's some kind of slime. Maybe I should just sample that.
I love slime.
I've taken a DNA sample from it.
Short of brute force, I don't think we know what we're supposed to be doing here yet.
Well, we got another door to check out.
You know, if this was really an adventure game worth its salt, we could take this fire extinguisher.
There's a toolbox, though.
It's true.
I can't figure out what any of these tools are for.
Oh, come on. That's never
Well, that's
stopped anybody.
I didn't realize that Gengineering was done with so much tape and wrenches.
You wouldn't be able to finish a Cyan game if, like, it being inscrutable stopped you.
Warning. Security clearance not valid for access to Growth Lab. Vickerman Pharmaceuticals thanks you for your cooperation.
Well, excuse me.
Warning. Vic.
Looks like Regis...
A drone lays a finely controlled mist over the delicate
Better not.
specimens.
It might tell the lab director.
So I get the general gist of what we're supposed to be doing here, but I'm not sure I understand
Finding
how it all
the
relates.
components are going to be a problem. Ask her again to verify what the formal name was for the other thing sample we're looking
Excuse
for.
me, Dr. Chigwa?
Make it quick, I'm busy.
Have you found anything else with added genetic data?
As a matter, there was a batch of Orchidaceae isotria in the growth lab, and...
And?
I do remember that it had spiny and very, very...
I tried talking to
Orchidaceae.
your intern. It wasn't helpful.
Oh, never mind that. He's got aphasia.
Isn't that treatable?
Oh, yes. He just gave it to himself. It's what the kids are into these days.
Crippling neurological disorders?
Yes and no. Maladism, they call it. They give themselves old diseases. It only lasts about a week each time.
And you let him do that?
He's not public-facing, and as long as it doesn't get in the way of his work. I figure we all did things the old folks thought were stupid back when we were kids.
I need to ask Meester about the tampered specimens. How do I cure his aphasia?
Well, you wouldn't really cure it. He doesn't actually have the disease. It's essentially wetware designed to occupy the Wernicke and Broca regions of the brain. This then produces the symptoms of the disease. That's what they're going for.
I can't wait a week for the wetware to break down.
Find a way to break it down early then. If we've got an emergency contamination, we use hydroxypyruvate isomerase. It's an enzyme that instructs the fabricators in wetware to disassemble themselves.
I can't get into the airlock.
The airlock and the growth lab are secure areas. We grow potentially hazardous organisms beyond those doors.
I'm trying to conduct an investigation here. Don't make me get a warrant from Central.
I'm sorry, Central would likely agree with us. We can't just give anyone access to the growth lab.
Not even a cell agent?
I'd need a pretty damn good reason. Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to work.
Wonder if we can interface with anything with our wetware.
It's only compatible with the sampler tool. Better not. It might... Wetware's not going to connect with that. Wetware's not...
For those unfamiliar, aphasia is a type of neurological disorder where you can believe that you are speaking appropriately, but your brain is basically spitting out word salad.
Wetware's not going to... Wetware's not...
Monsters angrily destroy the secret paper.
All right, I won't touch them.
Warning, security clearance not.
Come on.
New security profile created. Access granted. Welcome, Dr. Lau.
That was easy.
We didn't even have to summon the doorman or anything.
I'm a little sad that we can't trance as Lau. I really want to see what her avatar looks like. Ooh, look at all these things that we're not allowed to mess with that we can mess with.
They've got these pipes everywhere. Nothing happened. This could be useful. Looks like a lot of cartridges for the injector.
Ooh. This was the one that she mentioned, right?
Yeah, the hydro. I know it started with hydro. That's what I noted.
You stare into the UV lighting. Unsurprisingly, it makes your eyes hurt.
They're pretty serious about preventing contamination.
So let's just walk in. Growth 1, Chamber A. Adoxacia penans, status germination complete. Chamber
But we
B,
want Orchidacia.
Adoxacia hispanis, growth expected as per modification. Growth 1, Chamber A not in use. Chamber B, Beta vulgaris. Cyclic testing ideal ambient temperatures for new strain. Let's look at these yellow plants. Ah, check that out. Spiny leaves, yellow with tiny fruit.
Nice.
Nice.
I've taken a DNA sample from it.
Okay.
There's the Orchidacia isotria in Chamber A.
Copyright Typho Labs.
And Adoxacia medica testing epiphytic structure alterations. So, does that mean that the left one, the purple plants, are another one that we needed?
I guess we'll
I've
find
taken a
out.
DNA sample from it.
No, we already looked at this. Okay, so in theory, that is two others, which would comprise 2/3 now of the message that we have.
Warning, copyright breach in progress.
Uh-oh.
Excuse me?
You are not authorized to remove Orchidacia isotria samples from the Growth Lab. They are copyrighted property of Typho Labs GmbH. Beginning purge.
Hey, my sample!
Man.
What did you do?
To prevent theft of intellectual property, gene sequences in your possession have been neutralized. Have a nice day.
Gee, thanks.
DRM on plants, man. What the hell?
Yeah, we're gonna have to like get on the Pirate Bay or something. Torrent some DNA.
Well, we can at least check out this one. Modified sequences identified. Cross-loading to audio data stream.
There's some more.
Yeah, as I suspected, they're going to spell Max Lau.
Okay.
I'm going to need to find where he's hidden the rest of the meth.
So we need another A, an X, and an O.
Time to inject our youthful associate.
Monsters angrily destroy the secret paper.
Really? How interesting.
Beached questions you injector?
Say that again?
Overpass, did you stick me with an injector? Now I'll have to get my aphasia rate jabbed. Not cool, man.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
The achievement is dramatically clean something about steaming biscuits.
I'm CS Dr. Lau. I've been tasked with this investigation.
Martin Easter. I've been tasked with the factoring lab.
You work with Dr. Chikwa?
I work for Chikwa. I'm just the intern. Means I get stuck with all the lousy jobs she won't do.
I understand. I was an intern once.
So, what's CS? You a detective?
Case specialist. So, yes, I guess you could say that.
Cool.
I'd like to hear from you what happened.
So, we came in this afternoon for the late shift, right? I checked on the factoring line, and it turns out the specimens are nuked up.
In what sense?
They don't match the catalog, and not that they're supposed to be. I figured Baxter nuked it up again, so I checked the feed.
That's when you found the body?
Yeah, but Chigwa won't let me get a look. Told me to get back to work what she called cell. Hey, can I get a look at the body with you?
I'm afraid not. Official procedure and stuff.
Bummer.
His accent makes me think of just a lot of the voice work from Paradigm.
Yes.
Why'd you go and give yourself aphasia?
Not just that. There are loads of syndromes. It's maladism, man.
Aren't diseases like that dangerous, though?
It's not permanent, man. We ain't stupid. What where nodes in the body create the symptoms of things we want, which you went and broke. Gee, thanks.
Sorry about that. In any case, they're temporary then.
Exactly.
Man, I miss the days when kids just vaped.
I still don't get it. What's the hook for maladism?
Man, you old folk never get things like MD.
Old?
Most of these syndromes are diseases that are completely curable. They just don't happen anymore. Society says no to them.
So it's countercultural? An act of rebellion?
Exactly. Diseases like that make the establishment uncomfortable. They don't want it to be a part of their society. But we show them they can't ever get rid of it completely.
You're rubbing their faces in it then.
And in another way, it's kinda retro. Illnesses like that are what shape society. The Black Death made Europe what it is.
Gotta appreciate the classics.
For a lot of us, it's also about who's hardest. Posers go for little things like botulism or influenza. But you know someone's got real nose on them if they can stand a month with HIV.
So, what other diseases have you tried?
Loads of them. Parkinson's, syphilis, tuberculosis. Last month, it was Hansen's disease.
Wait, leprosy?
Yeah, if you're a Zift, Hansen's is the real name.
Sounds like quite a selection.
That's why I came to study in Newton. Eurofed's just starting to get into MD culture. Even talking about banning it. Newton's where it's at for it. You guys are a lot cooler about what you let people do.
On an individual basis, certainly. That's pretty much the founding philosophy here. Dr. Chigwa tells me that some of the specimens have been tampered.
Oh yeah, I found one of those. Man, couldn't they have just killed the guy without messing up my work?
I need to find it. Which specimen was it?
Oh, Acorus brasiliara. When I found it, I just thought Baxter was nuking it up again.
What did you do with it?
I just sent it back to the specimen lab. Should be there in the sample store.
I need to remove the Orchidaceae isotria sample from the growth room. Thing is, the airlock told me it was copyrighted, then blasted me with gas.
Yeah, that one belongs to Tifu. They're way touchy about it. Only lab staff are able to remove it for factory.
Could you get the sample for me?
Hey, no way, man. I'm already on 2 strikes for taking stuff out of the lab.
So you could, but you won't.
Sorry, man. Jake already thinks I'm stealing stuff. There's a huge street market for things like spark fruit or cracked wetware.
How do young people go about getting sick these days?
It's a lot harder, but that shows it's a choice. We use wetware to create symptoms, like the aphasia. The wetware I had for that was programmed to lodge in the Broca and Wernicke regions of the brain.
So it's not really Broca's aphasia.
Same symptoms, though.
You'd buy wetware nodes from shops?
Nah, find hobby GG programmers through the trance. They're always looking to sell. It's like a contest. They're always releasing new syndromes, competing with each other. You looking to get into it?
Not really my scene, thanks.
The future of ROM hacking.
What do you think of Dr. Chigwa?
She's a hard ass, but she knows what she's doing. Kinda thinks she feels wasted working here.
What can you tell me about Dr. Baxter?
Not much. He only started here a couple of weeks ago. Chigwa dropped him in the specimen lab and kinda left him here.
She neglected him?
Nah, he just barely left. Could have been a workaholic, but I think he just couldn't focus on anything else.
Did he ever talk about his past with you?
Man, he didn't even talk to me, period, about anything.
What's your
He didn't talk much. One yoked up guy. Chigwa told me he'd been released from jail. Looked like he had a governor in his head.
That's correct. It affected his behavior?
Dude, that's an understatement. That Malkin was like a zombie. One time, I dropped the whole sample tray in his lab. Anyone else would have yelled at me. He started to get mad, then looked just about ready to puke.
The governor inhibited violent thought. He'd been serving a murder sentence.
Oh, no way. Who'd he whack?
That's confidential.
Man, that's unfair. You're a tease.
So it's been pretty well established that Baxter was incapable of doing anything but working.
He's not very functional at this point, so
well, I mean,
most likely he was being manipulated if he's involved.
Yeah.
Remind me, what was that specimen you found?
Jeez, what are you, senile? It was a Cordyceps brasiliera.
A Cordyceps brasiliera.
All right, I'll let you get back to your job.
Whatever.
Something tells me that we're going to have to inject Dr. Chigwa with something to allow him to get the specimen out for us. We do still have our injector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
also,
so...
Nexter strikes me as a pretty condescending take on counterculture.
Yeah. Okay, so here is the sample that he noted.
I've taken a DNA sample from it.
So we can throw this in the sequencer and get our A.
Mm-hmm.
It worked.
According to this, he's been dead for 18 Well, case. Good luck.
I'm going to need to find where he's hidden the rest of the mess.
So we know Orchidacia is the O. That means that we just need to be on the lookout for any X's.
Well, there was one X in the sample bank. The puzzle here might be recognizing that it's spelling out Max Lau.
Huh. It won't let me take a sample from this one.
Oh.
I guess it needs to have grown a bit first.
Growth
Xenospore
matrix.
Growth matrix.
What is this stuff? Better trans up some data on it.
Xenosporins tizardi, one of the only known examples of extraterrestrial life. X tizardi was first discovered on Tizard's comet in 2055 by the ART-3 survey probe mission. Similar in many respects to terrestrial fungi, this is believed by some to be an example of convergent evolution and panspermia by others. In any case, its extremely rapid growth in Earth's atmosphere poses severe ecological risks. While it is highly sought after for study, samples are closely controlled, posing an obstacle to research. To prevent accidental germination, this organism is stored as a growth matrix. Growing only in carefully controlled laboratory environments, this helps to reduce the risk of what some have termed the most mundane alien invasion imaginable.
Charles, I think that this carried a higher risk for your puzzle than you anticipated.
The growth matrix won't start in that.
Dang.
All right, I won't touch them. You better not lose it.
Oh, that was correct?
I didn't realize that gengineering...
I guess that is part of the puzzle here.
You better not lose...
Oh, okay, I can put anything in there.
Okay.
Interesting.
Maybe we're supposed to smuggle something that he wants there.
Wetware's not going... You better not lose it. Excuse me.
Let's chat with him again.
I need to remove the Orchidacea isotria sample from the growth room. Thing is, the airlock told me it was...
Yeah, that one belongs to Tifa. Only lab staff are able to...
Could you get the sample?
Hey, no way, man. I'm already on.
So you...
Sorry, man. There's a huge street market for things like spark fruit or cracked wetware.
That doesn't really help.
Remind me, what was...
Jeez, what are you, senile? It was a quarter...
Okay, we got that.
All right.
So I don't know. I guess if maybe he would want cracked wetware or spark fruit.
There was an empty cell down here.
It's true.
More pipes.
Oops.
All right.
Oh.
I didn't do it.
Maybe that will prevent the gas from hitting us?
Well, try your idea about putting
I'm
the
taking a DNA...
invasive alien DNA in the growth chamber.
There. I've planted the growth matrix. Let's hope I got Mom's green fingers.
Warning, exponential growth, danger of contamination. So can I...
I don't think I can plant...
This is fine.
Warning, copyright.
Excuse me?
You are not authorized via copyright.
Hey, my sample! What did you do?
To prevent theft, gene sequence. Have a night.
Jeez.
Can you
It's the
like mess
DNA.
with
I need
the
to
pipes in here?
Nothing happened.
Okay.
I don't know what's in them, but they look important. I don't think I can fix it. Not my field.
Oh.
Well,
Has this grown since we left and came back? Oh.
Yeesh.
I feel like there's
No
gonna
wonder
be-
This stuff's labeled eco-hazard. Give it a few weeks, it could probably eat the whole planet.
wow. I think there are going to be consequences of this.
I'd better not touch it with my bare hands. I've tranced too many horror sims that start that way. I've taken a DNA sample from it. I hope it doesn't grow in my pocket.
Now, is it going to kill this one as well?
I don't think it's copyrighted.
Yeah, they haven't added the DRM to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're good.
Hey,
Don't
don't
touch
touch
that.
the valve. Who do you think Dr. Chigwa makes fix them when they burst?
All right, I won't touch them.
Wonder if we can send him in there via Dr. Chigwa to fix the one that we broke.
Yes!
According to this, he's been dead for 18 months. Well, case. Baxter, good luck.
Baxter, good luck.
I'm going to need to find
He's
where
been
these-
dead.
Excuse me, Dr. Chigwa?
Make it quick, I'm busy. Is that all?
For now.
Then if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to work.
I guess we don't want to tell her that we broke into the lab.
Yeah, I guess not.
He looks... Oh god, I sound like Regis. Excuse me.
Yeah?
Ah, there we go.
I think there might be a problem in the growth lab. I kinda, sorta planted that xenofungus from the growth matrix.
Oh, awesome. That stuff is hella toxic. Nukes nerve tissue up like nothing else.
You sound strangely upbeat about environmental catastrophes.
Nah, man, it's cool. This shit happens all the time. Management gives us time off whenever they run decon.
Hey, the pipes in the growth lab are leaking.
Ah, you get again? Better go fix it before Chigwa starts yelling.
Okay, so he takes his toolbox with him.
So we need to smuggle the sample in it because he has permission to take stuff out.
According to the labels, these shouldn't...
Okay, yeah, good call. Good call. Adventure game sociopathy at its finest.
It makes sense because, you know, making the pipe leave is very easy to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken a DNA sample from it.
I would be extremely nervous about getting any of that fungus on your the soles of your feet.
Yeah.
Better not lose it.
Neat.
It's better be worth it, Charles.
Aha! Got some.
Lau, if you're listening to this, well, it means they've got me.
Oh no, Regis, no, no, no.
But Lau, ignore anything left in the recording up to this point.
Huh?
Sorry for being so unhelpful with the message, but I had to be sure you were the one who heard it first. Everyone will be saying that I came to the lab for Baxter, and they might be right. Except that he's been dead since before I got here.
Yes.
We need to touch bases on this case. Meet me where we were both first involved in a case. I'll try to explain when you get here. Good luck.
Oh, thank God. You've got some explaining to do, Regis.
Crisis of consciousness.
What the hell did you think you were doing? We need her alive.
I saw an opportunity for striking back at Regis, a kind of poetic justice.
At Regis? You've never even met the man.
Yes, but
You haven't offloaded Baxter yet, have you? Look, there might just be a use for your newfound vendetta. The tap on his partner was successful. She found where Regis is hiding. He's an unfactored element. Now, he needs to be removed from the equation.
Don't worry. I'll kill him myself if it comes to it.
There's only so much of the city's resources that can be diverted to this. Find him, finish him, then return for offloading. Remember, I'm your controller, not Baxter.
So that's Galatea, right?
Absolutely.
So I got out. I managed to find somewhere to lie low. But I know what Central's capable of. You can only hide from it for so long. Lau had better find that message before an aerostat comes this way. What the hell?
I feel like this room should have the music from the Thug's apartment from Space Quest 6.
I agree completely.
Someone managed to get this through the window. They must have one hell of a pitching arm. What the hell is this?
Drink.
The bottle is some kind of thermal container, about half full of thick liquid. The words "drink me" are stenciled on the side.
It's full of alien fungus. No hesitation.
Wonder what that did. Hello? Who's there?
Barely, can you hear me?
Barely. I can't see you. Where are you?
In your head.
What the hell are you doing in my head?
That bottle you just drank, it was full of wetware. They were programmed to construct a transceiver in the small bones of your inner ear.
It's not permanent, is it?
No, it'll break itself down in a couple of weeks. You have bigger problems at the moment, though.
My location's been compromised?
I'm afraid so. There's a strike team surrounding the building as we speak.
Damn.
We need to get you out of there. The sewer access on the factory floor hasn't been secured. It's your best chance for an escape route.
If what you're saying's true, I'm about to be outnumbered and outgunned.
Don't worry, you're probably one of the few people I know who's smart enough to get out of something like this.
Do you know me?
You could say that. Come on, get moving.
Okay, so that isn't somebody we know.
Doesn't seem like it. I thought for a second it'd be Lau.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like
I've
Lau.
updated your firmware, idiot.
Now you're on Windows 11. Suck it. Well, this seems like a great place to save our game. And we'll see what happens to Dr. Regis next time on Technobabylon.
I'm sure you all were very excited to spend all day at a greenhouse, but we had a fun, and we're hoping you're going to continue to have fun with us as we explore this dingy bottle puzzle.
Yeah, now we're back to this numbskull, so have some more fun with Dr. Regis. It was great being Lau, wondering what the next room that we're going to be stuck in with Latha is, but until then, we've got to go down into the sewers, the best place that everybody likes to go to in video games.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You'll have fun. We'll have fun, at least, at your expense.
You will have fun, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you absolutely will. Well, until next time, thank you for joining us. Remember to save early, remember to save often, and remember to take care of yourselves.
See ya.